ready? Good morning. Can you say good morning? It's Will and I. This is our second episode of Katrina and Wil in the morning. It is March 23rd. And this morning on the docket, we are going to take you through some verses in Philippians 4 and then walk you through some home-based exercises that you guys can do as a family. Philippians 4:8. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there's anything worthy of praise, think about these things. And I just thought that this would be an appropriate passage to go through during this time. Part of my self-care, I guess, and also just being faithful to God and giving my whole self to Him means exercising this very verse, that I redirect my thoughts to the things that God would have me think about, because there's a plethora of stuff that we can think about. Not all of it is true, not all of it is helpful. God is really faithful in directing us, in giving us these instructions. I made these during breakfast. Whatever is true. So this means, obviously, like, is it actually a thing? But I think actually the word that was used in the original, it's not just true, but also like things that are really sincere. If it's not worthy of being taken seriously, and I think that's the gist of it, then you don't need to think about it. So the word honorable, the Old English version or the New King James, or the King James version, actually says the word honest, and some versions of the Bible will say noble. So your understandings of honorable and noble, those words, are really like the gist of it. When in the King James version it says honest, it's because the word honest then also had the spirit of like being honest-natured, that there was dignity applied to what the word honest meant. So if it's a dignified, honorable, noble thought, then think about those things. Just other versions of the Bible say right. That's things that are fair, things that are right, like the carrying out of justice. That's that sort of spirit of things. Pure, this probably needs the least explanation. It's probably also the word that we'll get hung up on the most as condemning and convicting. Again, remember the gospel that God knows that we are sinful by nature. That's why He sent Jesus. As you think about things, remember, if it's not in line with what God would have you do or say or think, taking you away from honoring God as your Lord, don't think about it. I realize this is easy to say, hard to do. Lovely. I like this one. If there are a lot of things that we can think. For example, in this time, it is not necessarily untrue that there are reasons to be cynical. There are a lot of things that we can think, but they might not be lovely. We are really, as God's people, supposed to be on the front lines of compassion and mercy and grace and kindness, because God has been so compassionate, gracious, and merciful to us. Let's keep our thoughts lovely. Admirable. My Bible actually says commendable, but other versions of the Bible say admirable, and I think it's a more easy word for me to relate to. But just think about the root word here, admire. Would someone that we admire think this thing? Would someone we admire say this thought out loud? That's kind of the spirit of admirable or commendable. Excellent. I think this word is probably best used for ruling out certain things. I think that there's some things that we could justify as fitting all the other words that we've gone through. But is it an excellent thought? You can ask yourself that. And worthy of praise, so praiseworthy. Again, God is not ever calling us to just be regular people. He is calling us to be like him, and again, use the gospel to apply to you. We are so far from him, and yet he part of being in a relationship with him is this ever continuing decision, day by day, moment by moment, to press into being like Christ, taking ourselves out of the picture and putting on him, because in that we really find our flourishing, we find our footing, we find liberty, we find all these things if we can embrace the gospel that forgives us of our sinfulness and allows us to spur on to be like him. So let's strive to keep our thoughts worthy of praise. I've described our recent situation as an exceptional time, but this kind of reminds me of our day-to-day ongoing reality more than maybe even our regular life does, because what we should recognize is that we are recipients of grace and mercy from unseen hazards and dangers. One of the good things about this time is that we get to take stock of our reality, take stock of the fact that we really aren't in control, that at any moment life can, as we know it, can change. If this season allows, just take a verse like Philippians 4:8. It's a short verse, but there's so much in there. If we can practice thinking about these things, thinking about the world, the way God would have us think about it, I think that we would find a lot of freedom in that, a lot of life, a lot of flourishing, because there are so many weights that we put on ourselves when we're not careful what we think about. So I hope that was helpful to you. We're going to hear from one of our sponsors really quick and then get into exercising. So we've done a quick costume change, mostly because one of us had pooped and we needed to change anyway. Nice shades, bud. Okay, so Will and I are going to walk you through some family exercises. Obviously, because my son is 2, these are going to be toddler-centric. But ready to do your exercise first? Can we put our arms up? And then touch your toes. Touch your toes. Okay, so this is a good way to start stretching. Wait. All right, next, stand up, Will. Please. Please. Okay, ready? Windmill arms.
Arms.
Yeah. Can you do little? Do little ones. Do little ones first. Okay, no, big.
Big.
All right.
Two.
Okay, ready? Ready? Can you do bicycle?
Possible.
Bicycle. So we go slow.
Hello.
And then fast. And then slow.
Slow.
And then fast.
And
Slow. And then fast. Some gyms call them power squats. We're going to call this being a frog. Okay, ready? Can you bend down with mommy? Get down. And then jump.
Jump.
And then get down.
Jump.
And jump.
Jump.
And if you have kids who like to climb on you, obviously there's always this. All right. And finally, there's always the classic, you can just turn everything into a dance. I hear you say, look up, child. Look up, child. Well, that's all for our show today.